Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, with many buyers facing competing offers when they buy homes, what are the top 8 things that sellers just love to get from buyers in offers?
Well, Richard, I would say they want the best price, the most money. They want to be able to move when they want to move. They want the least amount of hassle. They want to sell their home as is. And unfortunately, most agents aren't necessarily skilled at negotiating. They're kind of messengers. So sometimes it's hard to nudge people to actually put the deal together. So I think those 4 things, having a good negotiator, having somebody that has your back, that really works towards your goals, is absolutely critical. And occasionally you'll have buyers that can waive the appraisal if they're getting a loan. So the only time you need an appraisal is when you're getting a loan. If you're paying cash, you don't need one. But sometimes if the buyer's putting huge down payments, the lenders may not require one. If the buyer's getting a VA loan, they will require one anyway. And either with FHA or VA, what happens on those appraisals is they will ask for things to be repaired. So I just had a seller go through kind of a double whammy. They had a handful of things to fix on the inspection, and then the appraiser came along and said, well, for me to say that the house meets the loan guidelines, you got to do this and this and this. So they got really busy towards closing. We tried to help them as much as possible, but basically, if you can know about those things in advance and be prepared for it, that's the best case scenario. But if not, if it's a surprise, then, and if they're waiving the appraisal, it's a nice, comfortable thing. I'll give you an example. I sold a house last year where we had 2 of the highest offers. And I was explaining to him, there was one buyer that was cash that was at 700. There was another buyer that offered like 730, but we would have to prove the value with an appraisal. In other words, a third party would have to come in and agree that the home is worth 730. Well, it was a little tricky on proving that value. We had some similar sales were down at 640, some at 7. It was like, I don't know for sure if they would approve that value. It's possible, but not 100% surety. And so the seller's response to that, he looked at me and he goes, it seems like you're just wrestling around in the mud until it's all over and then you close. Is that right? I said, it's pretty much like that. Yes. So a lot of sellers don't like the uncertainty when it comes to selling a home. So, but unfortunately, the buyers, they can tie up a property and they have all this time and opportunity to do what they call their due diligence. So they can do an inspection and ask for stuff. They can do an appraisal and ask for stuff. I recently had one that asked for a new roof only because the roof was more than 10 years old. So the seller went and got 2 roofers to look at the home. Both roofers said, no, this roof is great. I don't know why they're asking for a new roof. And it was because their insurance company said, oh, we won't cover this house unless the roof is less than 10 years old. Well, the seller doesn't have to replace the roof just because of this insurance company. So we basically said, go get another one. There's other insurance companies out there. So sometimes, crazy stuff happens in negotiations. So if you don't have to worry about those things, sellers are usually most happy. Sometimes buyers will put in offers if they're up against competition, and they'll waive inspection objection. Now, those are really nice. I don't get those very often, but when I do it, it gives the seller a huge warm fuzzy. In other words, I had one buyer that came in and made an offer and said, we will take the house at this price as is. We're going to do an inspection, but we're not going to ask you to fix anything. And that's exactly what happened. And everybody was happy in the end. It was just a happy ending. So those are good. That makes the process a lot more fun. The other thing that sellers love to get from buyers are, if they want to occupy the home after closing, if they can get time to stay in the home after closing, either rent it back or something like that, then a lot of sellers really, really appreciate that. Because let's say they're not ready to move out of the area immediately at closing, maybe they need a month or so. if we can negotiate those things, or a week even, it makes their life a lot easier. I just closed one where it was a four-way deal. So buyer from Arizona is buying a house in the Powers Corridor, that's buying a house in Banning Lewis Ranch, that's buying a house in the northeast part of town. So all these dominoes had to fall just right. And of course, the second domino failed because the loan didn't come through for some reason. So we had to wait a couple days. Well, we had negotiated that they could stay in the house a couple days and move because they needed their house to close before they could move into the next one. So it kind of stopped that fall of dominoes, waiting for that to get resolved. So there's a lot of coordination, negotiations that goes on with stuff like that. And you want to make sure you have a really strong agent to help you when those things are happening. Another thing that sellers love to get from buyers, of course, they love to get cash, but some buyers think that making a cash offer means that they get a discount. And I honestly don't think that's true. It's all cash to the seller at closing, right? They all get money at closing regardless. The only difference between a cash and non-cash is that you don't have to worry about an appraisal or a loan process going through. Another thing that sellers love getting from buyers is if the buyer makes an offer and it's not contingent on that buyer selling another home. That is a ball and chain that many buyers and sellers don't like dealing with because it puts a big amount of uncertainty into the process. Now, there are some contingencies, they call them sale contingencies, that are okay. It depends on the market environment. Maybe their house that's under contract is going to close in a few weeks. Maybe their past inspection appraisal. Maybe the home that they're selling is very sellable and it's going to sell really fast. So that's why communication in those kind of scenarios is absolutely critical, that we talk about, okay, let's take a look at the home that they're selling. How viable is it to sell? I've suggested to sellers that they turn away offers where they come and say, oh, it's contingent on my house selling. This is the price we're going to market the home at. And I look at similar sales around there and I'm like, I think it's priced too high. Just looking at similar sales, I don't know how you can make that happen. So no, but once you get a contract, then we can talk. Let's see, another thing they don't like from buyers necessarily. A lot of people are concerned about getting a buyer that's getting a new VA loan. So a VA loan means that the borrower served in the military and they have their entitlement to use their VA eligibility, of which they can buy a home for millions of dollars with zero down. I mean, it's really a cool loan. But if they are not putting any money down, what we have to do is make sure that we're taking a look at the price that they're offering, that we could substantiate it to an appraisal, because it would have to have price, it would have to appraise in order to be sold at that loan amount, basically. Basically, when the VA loans 100% of the agreed upon sales price, we have to substantiate that price with similar sales. So that's part of what we do in our process with sellers. We take a look at similar sales every step of the way. We look at it when we're talking about pricing out of the gate. We look at it when we get offers. We look at it when it's time for the appraiser to look at the home. We look at it all the way because we want to make sure that we have a successful sale and closing. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and I've been here in this market since 1996. And I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about are some of the things that home sellers really love to get from buyers' offers. And then the next up, we're going to talk just a little short section about things to watch out for when you get offers and before you accept them. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We give a free service of an in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We'll go over all the closing costs, give you a really good idea what your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket. Call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the top things that sellers just love to get from buyers' offers. So what are some other things that give sellers the confidence to accept that offer?
Well, one thing that we want to see, and it's funny, I just found out by doing some continuing education that there is no obligation on behalf of the real estate agent to verify that the buyer has the ability to get a loan. Did you know that even after they make an offer?
Amazing. No, I did not know that.
It's
That is,
not required by the state. That's
gee,
why we see what I call these Pop-Tart agents that just meet them at the house. And if they like it, great. If they want to make an offer, great. Oh, go call a lender and see if you qualify. And in all this time, you're tying up the house. So nobody likes that if you're a home seller. They want confidence going in that the buyer has the ability to perform. Now, the good news is in most cases, when I get offers on my listings, they are including with it a pre-approval letter and or proof of funds, right? Because that will tell me. I had one deal that fell apart because basically the buyer didn't qualify for a loan. They looked at two different lenders and then they terminated. And I just think they didn't qualify. But, you know, in the meantime, they tied up the house for 3 weeks. So that's not fair to the sellers. I recommend every buyer get fully pre-approved before they go out shopping. It's almost like shopping with cash when you do that. So it's an advantage to the buyer, and it certainly is a comfort level for the seller. Um, Another thing that's really important is that buyers want the house, right? But they also want certainty that it's going to go through. And there are certain things that not everybody knows about. A quick example would be if they're getting a VA loan, the VA does require that if the property has a well, you have to do a bacteria test on the well and check for leads and other metals. Well, when you do that, it takes weeks and weeks. And if the agents haven't done it very much, even though we told them in the counter, you have to make sure you get this test done, they forgot and it delayed the closing. It just makes things not go very smoothly. So you need an agent that has some experience that knows about these things so that there's no surprises in the process, because everybody wants their move to go smoothly. And if you are thinking of making a move, that is absolutely what we do. We give tips on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready, give you a good idea what your home will sell for, and go over all the cost when it sells. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com if you'd like that free in-home consultation. Richard?
Barb, this is the favorite time of your program. You've got some hot new listings. Tell us about them.
I do. Beautiful, almost new two-story on Nash Drive, priced in the low fours. Really pretty home. Another great home on 35 acres out on Powers Road, East Fountain, with a big detached two-car garage. A beautiful two-story, move-in ready on 10874 Lavanya Place, priced in the mid-fours. Also have a really adorable townhome in Briargate on Smoke Tree in the low threes. Really great ranch with a nice big basement on Brundage and new carpet, new furnace, new roofs, got new everything in the low fours. And also 213 Cunningham. This gorgeous rancher also has an RV garage and a two-car garage on a half acre in the mid fours. An amazing raised rancher on Palma Valley in Gleneagle in the upper sixes that backs to open space that'll never be built on. And then a fabulous home on Gull Lane on 5 acres out in Peyton. This home has solar, a detached garage. It actually has multi-generational living with the main level master suite upstairs, and a huge basement. And then we've got this spectacular home on Winding Hills Drive in Monument. Really beautiful scenic home in the low eights. And a couple more sneak peeks coming up. Open this weekend, 9145 Pastime Place. That one's priced in the mid fours. And another beautiful home on Sonoma Drive in the low twos. And then we also have one more property coming up on Blue River Way, and that one's priced in the low fours. So to find out about all of our listings, go to barbhasthebuyers.com, click on the little property that features our homes, the link that features our homes right there on the website, or give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Cudlow. And if you're thinking making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And you can see replays of the show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Has the Buyers, or listen to the podcast on all of the podcast platforms, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many, many others. Thanks for listening. And to reach Barb, call 719-301-3900. Have a great week. Barb, so good talking to you. We'll talk next week.